So we finally saw who we were going to take in the 2017 NBA draft. We all knew after we made the trade who we were going to take, but the wait is finally over. It's official. Markelle Fultz is a Sixer. So I just wanted to talk a little bit and grade what the Sixers did this year in the draft. I know you really can't grade it until a couple years after, 3 or 4, but I just want to do a little quick insight and give you what I thought of the draft. Obviously, we're not going to go in. We've talked into nauseum about Markelle Fultz, but let's go into delve into the second-round picks and then the guy we traded up for in the end of the first round. So we got, now I'm probably going to butcher this, so bear with me, Pesnik, Jonah Bolden, and then Lesort, the Frenchman. These are all, and this is what I anticipated the Sixers doing, was getting draft and stash guys. It made perfect sense. We had drafted the little jitterbug guy out of Oklahoma State, Juwan Evans, I think his name was. Traded him away, and then Brown from SMU, but we knew that wasn't good. We knew we were going to get rid of them guys because we have such a young roster. There's no room for them. That's why you take, international players. You can stash them over there. They're not going to be coming over right now. Good move. They're not on your books also. So that's really not going to hurt your payroll at all. And then you can wait. You can develop them a little bit. Now, Anjus, the guy we traded with Orlando, took with the 25th pick overall, only surrendered the Oklahoma City Thunder 2020 pick that we received in the Jeremy Grant trade. Top 20 protected. If it falls out of that, they get 2 second-round picks. So, worth the trade. Why not? This guy has an interesting skill set. Obviously, he played with the other Latvian, Kristaps Porzingis. Now, they have the same skill set, but not on the same skill level. Porzingis is a lot more advanced, a great player, as we've seen. But I'd have to give the Sixers draft an A. And I forgot to say that at the beginning of the video, but I'd have to say they got an A for this. You're going to go pursue free agents. That's why you take these draft and stash players. You stick them out there. You worry about them later when we're competing. But I'm just going to call him, what do you call it? AP. We'll just call him AP for now because I don't want to keep butchering this name. He's a 7'2" guy with an interesting skill set. He's light on his feet. He needs to bulk up. He's only 230 pounds. He's a little behind Kristaps. He's 21 years old. They play together in the 18 EuroLeague. 18 and under EuroLeague. He's got to build up a lot of strength. He's really raw on the offensive end, but he's basically a stretch 4 or stretch 5. He needs to stretch out his range. He can hit a 3, but he really needs to bulk up and work on his offensive game. He's not going to be coming over here. He's really excited to come over to the NBA as soon as possible, but this is kind of insurance for Embiid. If Embiid can't stay healthy, you have this guy out over there. You also have to remember these guys are also trade pieces, essentially. Are they going to come over? Who knows? Then you go over to Jonah Bolden, who fits our team also. He's a 6'10" guy. He was presumably the steal of the draft, everybody was saying, because of what his skill set is. I didn't really know too much about him. I don't know too much about any of these guys, so I have to really do some film study and assess what these guys are really going to do. But I've read that he's a 6'10" guy that can spread the floor. He shot 41% from 3 this year. He plays in a really good league over there in Serbia. It's no joke. Apparently, it's one of the top Euro leagues. He's a real athletic, long guy. He's going to be good for cutting to the basket, going out, running on the fast break. You can envision Ben hitting him, or he can really spread the floor with Ben or Markelle Fultz. So that's the kind of guys you want to surround with Fultz and Ben Simmons. He's a really good offensive rebounder, like a high-energy guy, I would say he is. I know he's excited to come over here as well. He's eager to come over this year, but I don't think the Sixers are going to want him to come over this year because he still has, I think, one year left on his contract over there in Serbia. And there's a buyout option, and he seems really, really eager to get over here. But I don't see him coming over this year. Maybe next year, if he can produce what he did this year. He, like I said, I touched on it before, he hit 41% from 3. He averaged 12 points, played 28 minutes, and that's really, really high for international players I've read, because I know they don't play a lot of minutes over there, like 15, 16 minutes they spread. So I'm really excited to see this guy because he looks like a real high-energy guy. Like I say, he's going to cut to the basket. He can do a lot of backdoors. You can look for him on alley-oops, dunks and stuff like that. And for AP, they don't really do a lot of one-on-one over there in Europe, so he really has to really work on that part of his game. He's not really offensively gifted. He's a great shot blocker with that length being 7'2". And like I said, I think he's insurance more or less for Embiid if he can't stay healthy. And this is something to keep an eye on because Embiid's contract is going to be coming up. We're talking about negotiations this year with him, extending him. Can he stay healthy? This is going to be the real test. If not, look for this guy to possibly be the center of the future. He's a stretch four, and this is what the guys you want to surround, like Fultz and Simmons, who really can get to the cup, kick out. He's super athletic. He can dunk, and he's got size. And then Lessort, I don't really know too much about anything about him. He was a later pick, 50th overall. A high-energy guy. He has apparently no offensive game. But it looks like most of these guys are 3-and-D players. Very skilled on the defensive end. And it's said to... I had read that it's said to be that Bolden could be a really elite defender. So we were one of the best defensive teams in the league this year. So you want to add length. It just looks like the blueprint of the Spurs, which is where Brett Brown came from. You're seeing a lot of international players drafted, and even if they don't come over, we use these to get more assets or more players. So this is great for the Sixers of what they did. I thought it was a really good draft. We landed our prize piece in Markelle Fultz, and then you add a couple stash players that could help us in a couple years when we're starting to win, because you need team chemistry and everything like that, but you also don't want to eat up roster space for guys. We need some veterans on this team. We have plenty of youth, and these both guys are a little bit older than usual prospects that come out in the NBA. They're usually 18. They're both 21. Crazy to say that they're old, but in the NBA terms, they are old. So I would really like to see Bolden over here. I really like his skill set. I would love to see him come over here in a couple years if he can reproduce what he did this past season, get that buyout. And for AP, he's got one more year left on his contract than a player option. And I know he's really eager to get over here. So I'd like to see him bulk up, get a little more offensive skill set on his side rather than just the defensive. This could be a terror with Embiid and him over there. So I would love to see these guys get over here. And then when we're starting to win, add more youth, more rejuvenation, more skill set players, or trade them. It's going to be interesting to see in the next couple of seasons. It's an exciting time now. I'm so excited for Summer League to start. I want to see Markelle Fultz play. And we still have Korkmaz, too. Let's not forget about him. A guy that can really shoot, but I know he's not really NBA ready either. They don't really like where his body's at. He needs to add more strength and more one-on-one options over there, too, for where he plays, where Saric used to play. And hopefully they turn into what Saric is. So a very exciting time to be a Sixers fan. I just can't wait for this to happen. Get these guys going. Draft stash players. I wanted to see them take Jordan Bell or a Dorsey. The Jordan Bell was sitting right there. But you know why they didn't take him, because it's going to take up space. We don't have room for him on the roster anymore. So this is where I think Colangelo is going to aggressively go after like a J.J. Redick, possibly trade for a Danny Green, heavily go after Patty Mills. I don't think Blake... I know people have been talking about going after Blake Griffin. I don't want him. I don't like his attitude. He's always hurt all the time. And we need a stretch four. He's more or less more of a post four. He works down on the block. I mean, he'd be fun on the fast breaks, but what are you going to do when you're in the half court? It just doesn't work, and that's why you saw a lot of shooters. And I was kind of surprised we didn't take at least one shooter that wasn't an international player to kind of see what we could work with. But I think this is just pointing all towards us going all shooters in free agency. So this will be a test for Brett Brown, too, to see when we finally got a loaded roster, if what he can do as a coach. But I think he's the guy. I really like what he brings to the table, and this is just more of a less Spurs blueprint. Great defense. You're going to see a lot of screens this year. We've seen it the past year when we've had a little bit of talent. It's just going to be a lot of screen pick and pops too. Very excited. I can't wait. I can't wait to see Markelle Fultz, really, but it'll be interesting. I'd really like to trade for more assets. You can never have enough assets. Go after Hinkie's blueprint because we have everything to thank for him. Gallinari, I think, is going to cost a lot of money, but I wouldn't mind having him. The guy can really shoot the lights out of the ball. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, I'm open for questioning now. So I kind of did my bit in talking about where I liked what we did with the draft class. Did you guys really want anybody specific out of the draft in the second round? I mean, it was a long wait. Me and Adrian are up there. So after picking one, we were like, come on. We were so excited, hoping they would trade up to get Malik Monk. That didn't happen. But you had all those second rounders. You thought maybe they'd make a splash. We didn't really give up anything to get this Anjis Parsixnix or whatever his name is. Now time for you Nolan Patrick Flyers breakdown. Yeah, right? Sorry, man. Sorry, Sean. I do not watch any hockey. I know a lot of the Flyer fans, a lot of my buddies are big hockey guys, and they're very excited about that. It's an exciting time to be a Philly sports fan, I think. But here's a question I posed to you guys, too. Do you want to see Fultz play in the Summer League, or would you rather just sit him out and not risk him getting hurt? I mean, I'd want to see him play. I want to see what he really brings to the table. I'm hoping Korkmaz can play this year, too, to see what he can bring, if he's going to be a piece to the future. But I don't know. I'd like to see what he has because everybody raves about him. I don't watch international basketball, but I know some of you guys on here say you do. So if you guys know anything about any of these guys, please leave it in the comment section or ask me some questions. Does anybody have any questions before I get out of here? Yes to the Summer League. No substitutes for the game action. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to be selfish and hope Fultz plays. Jermichael Green, yeah, he wouldn't be a bad player. Ronald, I'd like to give him a flyer. Yeah, he's a high-energy guy. He's really learned over there at Grit of Memphis. He can play defense, and he can shoot a little bit, too. I mean, he fits perfectly what we need to do. Because if J.J. Redick is going to be our guy, I really don't want to overpay him, and I know he's going to command a lot of money. So it depends what he's going to be asking for, but I think he's our top guy that we're going to be chasing in free agency. Plus, he's a vet. He really fits into the system of what we're going to be doing here. And I really like the trade for Danny Green, too. I hope that happens. It was Joff straight up for Danny Green. I mean, it's better than nothing. And I just don't want to have Ja on here and lose him for anything. So if we can get a piece towards the future, better odds of obtaining Redick or Mills. I'd say Mills just because of the connection with the Spurs. Plus, he can play a little bit of point, too. And he knows our system already because he's played in it his whole career. Plus, you have the Aussie connection with him and Brett. So it just completely makes sense for us. Kind of like Boston, Hayward going there with his coach as well. So I hope we go after Patty Mills and J.J. Redick. Because I think Patty Mills will cost less money to come over here. Probably about $8 million a year. Which I'm willing to spend because we have a ton of cap space. But we do have to say, and this is why I don't want to overspend on free agents because I would like to keep this core together now. The first player up is going to be Embiid. And me, Adrian, and I believe his name is Dave, is going to do a video on that tomorrow about posing the question, should we extend Embiid or not? So stay tuned for that video. I don't want to really leak into that and give anything away. But any more questions, guys, before I get out of here? What was the atmosphere like on draft night? Sean, it was amazing. I mean, it didn't even feel like we were in New York. It felt like we were down at the Wells Fargo Center. It was awesome. It was an army of Sixers fans, and all you heard echoing throughout the Barclays Center was trust the process. It was a great time. After the first 10 picks, though, it was a little dry and boring. They didn't really keep anybody entertained. They didn't announce any of the trades that were happening. Like, everybody got the updates a half hour before they announced them. Like, it took till the end of the draft for them to announce the Jimmy Butler trade, but we already knew it. Like 2 hours beforehand that they did. So, that's what's so great about being on social media and having your smartphones. But it was a great experience. The New York fans were hating on us. They were throwing stuff at people, telling us to get out. We weren't welcome there, but they're just salty because of the situation that they're in. And I really thought we were going to see Porzingis traded. It would have been great if we really made an offer to him. I know we had given Phil a phone call, but I think he's ready to get out of there. I think he's just trying to get fired. But that is tumultuous down there in New York. Any more questions? No, LeVar. Did I chat with LeVar Ball? No, we were a little higher up, so we really couldn't get near LeVar. Plus, he hired his own security team. What would you offer for KP? Oh, that's a good question. I'd have to throw Saric in there just because they're kind of like the same player, and I mean that by... I mean, Porzingis obviously is a lot better, but they're stretch fours. Porzingis is loads better. He's got a way better handle. He's way better defensively. So Saric would have to be in the deal for me. And we can't use the picks like the Sacramento pick or the Laker pick anymore because they're kind of promised to Boston. So I would maybe throw in one of our picks and just throw Ja because I know Phil was enamored with Ja coming out of college. I would say he'd have to be in the deal. Yeah, I'd have to throw our picks in there, but I put a protection on them, obviously. Like top 10 protected. They probably wouldn't go for that, but you don't want to overpay to get this guy, even though he is a really great talent. Second best talent out of that draft, other than, you know, Karl Anthony Towns. That's kind of a toss-up. I know when they contacted Boston because they wanted to inquire about KP, they offered they wanted the third pick. They wanted Brooklyn's pick next year unprotected, another first-round pick, and 2 seconds. Jay Crowder and Avery Bradley. So that's how much New York was asking to acquire Porzingis. So that kind of puts you on the level of what they want in return, and I'm not willing to give up all that. But you always have to field phone calls to see what they really are, you know, interested in and what they really want for a player like that. Like I said before, I think Phil's just trying to get out of there and get his payday. And the New York fans were pissed with their pick of Frank Tequila or whatever his name was, the French point guard. They booed them out of the Barclays Center. They were so mad, especially with Malik Monk there. They really wanted Malik Monk. TLC, I like TLC. He might be the starting shooting guard, honestly, for us this year. I think he really improved on his defense, and you saw his game kind of flourish at the end of the season when he was starting a little bit more. He started knocking down that jumper, even though he's really inconsistent with that. Him and Sarge really need to work on that this year for us to become really scary because their jumpers are just too inconsistent for them to really be, you know, really offensively minded, gifted players that are going to just field it because you could just load up the box because you know Sarge really wants to pass. He's not really confident. He hits that mid-range game like it's nothing, but I would like to see him hit the three more consistently. And Caldwell Pope, I heard, we're inquiring about too. So I would be trying to get him because I think shooting guard's really a weak point at this point. But we have to see what Ben Simmons is going to do and Fultz on the court. We got to see how their chemistry is, if Ben's going to be able to play the point. I mean, we have so much to look forward to this year. And there's no minutes restrictions. Other weaknesses of Fultz besides supposedly shaky defense. His shot. I think his shot needs a little bit of work. It's not broken. It's fluid. But I think he needs to consistently work on it a little bit more. I think his form is there. It just needs a little bit of tweaking. And I was going to say that too. His foul shooting needs a ton of work because he shoots 66% from the line. And as history has told us, guys that shoot poorly from the line usually don't convert to the NBA three. Now, projections show that Fultz is going to be able to knock down the three consistently with work. But with that foul shooting at 66%, it's not terrible. It's not like it's down in the low 50s. So he's kind of like in the middle of the pack, so he might be okay. I don't see him ever being like a 44%, three-point shooter. I'd say in like 35%, give or take around there. And Jordan Bell, I think the Golden State really got a steal of the draft. But Josh Hart was sitting there. I really thought we were going to trade up and take him. But Jordan Bell there and Dorsey, I don't know how you don't go off of that. Bring Rick Barry on to teach him. Yeah, one of the best shooters ever. Bring any of the Barrys in there. Those guys could shoot the lights out. That's one thing we really don't have. Even though Lloyd Pierce does a good job, we don't really have in the whole organization of the Sixers a guy that was like a sharpshooter that could really teach these guys. Who is going to be on the top offensive option? Who's going to be the top offensive option? I think it's gonna be Embiid. I think they're gonna let Fultz kind of, not really take the reins off, so to speak. I think they're gonna let him sit back and kind of ease into this position. They're gonna let him be a facilitator first, and not be a scoring option. But if all else fails and they ask him to do it, I think they're gonna unleash him basically, because the guy could really, I think, average 30 points a game. Not right off the bat, but for a career, I think the guy is going to be, an offensive great, like a Harden or a Westbrook. But I think they're going to ease him into it. Any minute restriction on these guys? No, there's none of them. Ben Simmons isn't going to have a restriction, and neither is Joel Embiid, which is great to hear. But we have to see if Embiid's going to be able to play 82 games. We'll be lucky if we get 50 or 60 out of him, but I'm going to be optimistic and hope we get 70 out of this guy, because he was worth the risk. Tremendous talent, and that's why I just can't wait for the season to start. I wanted to see Simmons play in the Summer League, but I understand why we're not. We have Fultz anyway, so we can kind of rely on getting excited to see what he really offers. And all the rest of these draft picks, too. They're saying this is the best class to come out since '03, so we'll see what these kids can bring. And then after that, we're going to have to wait a little bit till the season starts. But I know the Wells Fargo Center is going to be going nuts. You guys heard that they sold out within 3 hours. How do you think our bench is? I think it needs some work, Ron. And that's why I think we have to heavily pursue some guys in free agency. Get some guys that can really light it up, like a J.J. Redick or a Green. We need shooters, though. We didn't address that at all in the draft. So we need shooters, whether that's trade, paying some guys. Who are the 5 to 10? What do you mean, who are the 5 to 10? What do you mean by that, Ron? That's a good question. I think they really expect Stauskas to really come up. Where do you sit at the Wells Fargo for home games? I sit in 119, row 6. Will Dario play in the Summer League? Dario is not playing in the Summer League. I heard he is not. It's going to be Fultz. We signed Melo Trimble, point guard out of Maryland. We got what was his name? Blackman out of Indiana, who's a guy that can light it up from three, from the college three. He hit 91 threes. I'm still waiting to see who else we were going to have on our Summer League, but I think they're going to let Dario sit because he's played a lot of basketball over the past 2 years. So I think they want him to rest up a little bit, just work on his shot and practice. But to get back to your question, Ron, I think they're really heavily relying on Stauskas, Holmes, and TLC to bring it as our bench. But I really would like to go after Patty Mills to solidify it. The guys that can really hit it from downtown. We really, really, really need to focus on getting three-point shooters. TLC is in the Summer League. Yeah, I read that. He needs it. He needs more work. I mean, he showed promise at the end of the season, those last 19 games. Let's see if he's really worked on his game since then and carried it over. Because he really played good. He's not going to be a star, but he's a nice complimentary piece. But yeah, Fultz, people are afraid that injury from Washington is really going to affect him. Reports have said he's all clean, though, and they don't want to risk it because we've had such bad luck with all our previous drafts. But you have to think about it. Those other guys that we drafted in the beginning of the process, they were hurt before the draft. So we took them on purpose so we can continuously lose and collect assets and get high draft picks and get talent on this team. And that's what Hinkie's vision was. And now you can see, since I just said the Sixers had sold out their season tickets within like 2 hours, all the bandwagoners are coming out. So they're coming to enjoy and say. And I got to touch on this too. What do you guys feel about the nickname, the Feds? I think this is a corny nickname, and we really have to get on board to get another one. What's your thoughts on the Fultz not being a winner? I'm not all about that. I think that's a bunch of crap. He was on a poor team. There was absolutely no talent on that Washington team. I'm not worried about that at all. You can talk about him not making varsity until his junior year in high school. So what? He was a late bloomer. Look at Steph Curry. He was a late bloomer in the NBA. They were calling him a bust for the longest time. So I don't care about that 9-win crap. He was in a bad program. He did everything he could do. He put up solid numbers. Look at Dennis Smith. He played for a poor team too. You know, but obviously you're going to get disgruntled and upset that you're not going to be putting your full effort on night in and night out when you play for such a bad program. So to go out and say that he doesn't deserve to, he didn't take his team to the tournament, kid seems like he's got a lot. Yeah, I love Fultz. I think he's got a great attitude. I really think he's going to work hard here. Yeah, I think he fits the mentality here in Philly. He's a lunch pail guy. He's going to put in the work. And I honestly think he's going to be a star. If everything goes right and health is on our side with a little bit of luck, we could be looking at a dynasty here. I don't have a team. Should I root for the Sixers? If you want. Sure. Sure, Hunter. Yeah, JJ Redick going to make the playoffs. I definitely think we're making the playoffs this year. How many wins realistically? I'd say we probably could look at, if we get JJ Redick or a Patty Mills, guys that can shoot, we're looking at least a 43-win team. With the health of Embiid. We need Embiid to stay healthy. Fingers crossed. All superstitions, knock on wood, or whatever it is you do. We need Embiid to stay healthy for us to really take this the next step further. It all hinges on Embiid. Heir apparent to Golden State, we could be. We did it the right way through the draft. And then we sign a big free agent. With the way this is going, there could be another MVP-type player that wants to come to the Sixers. We're not the laughingstock anymore. Look at all these columnists that are coming out and saying they're recanting on we're not a joke anymore. And what were you guys saying 2 years ago? We were saying we were the laughingstock of the NBA. We had a vision. Sam had a vision. And this is what you really have to do to build a team in the NBA. Unless you're going to be stuck in mediocrity. Who wants to be the 7th and 8th seed and make the playoffs every year and then get knocked out? What do you think about Colangelo saying there's no plans to have Embiid or Simmons on a minutes restriction? I love it. Let's hope it stays true. I hope he's just not just blowing smoke up everybody's butt, but I hope that's the case. Because I think you have to kind of take the baby gloves off now. I think they're all ready to go. Embiid especially. This is the time to unleash Embiid. If he's going to get hurt, then there's nothing you can really do about it. He's going to get hurt, and then he might just be injury plagued for the rest of his career. Let's hope not. I don't want to say that and jinx it, but... And Simmons was fine last year. He could have came back and played. Marcus Hayes is still not buying it. Yeah, Marcus Hayes, I think, likes to just go against the grain to get media attention, to tell you the truth. I think he likes to have clickbait, but that's just me. And Ben Simmons, like I said, could have came back and played last year. They were just holding him out. They didn't want to rush him back. There was no need to. They had a vision to get Fultz. Any chance Okafor could have a role in offense with the backups? Definitely. Is he going to accept that role as the backup? I don't think he is. I think he wants to start. I think he feels like he's a great player. But for me, for him to even get any minutes, he has to show me a lot more. He has to show me how to rebound. He has to show me how to play defense and show effort. And when I've been down at the games, he doesn't show me any of that. He looks lethargic. He acts like he doesn't care. He doesn't even jump for rebounds. You're a big body guy. Get in there and throw your weight around a little bit. He's a post player. He's kind of like an aging fossil in this type of the way they play in the NBA with all the stretch fours and everything. But even if you just go out there and show effort. Exactly, Ron. Effort. That's all you have to do. And he doesn't do that, and it drives me insane. Do you think Ben Simmons will guard the 4 position most of the time, or will they play him on guards? I think they're going to test him out to see if he can play the guards, but more likely he's going to be guarding the 4s. I think he has the lateral quickness to play or to guard the 2 or the 1, but it's all going to be a learning experience with Ben Simmons. Is he going to be able to play the point? We expect him to, but we just have to wait and see. That's why I wish he was playing in Summer League to just kind of get a little bit more of an idea if he's going to be able to do it, but we have to wait till the season. Richaun Holmes deserves more time than Okafor. I agree. This guy deserves everything. He's got a heart. He puts in effort. He does everything he can with the little bit of minutes that he gets. I'd rather have Richaun Holmes out there taking minutes away from Okafor. Okafor just has this, puts himself on a pedestal because he was a 3rd overall pick. So what? That doesn't mean anything. If you have a chip on your shoulder like Holmes, who probably should have been drafted higher, same with Draymond Green, he's got a chip on his shoulder. Goes out there and plays hard every day. If he guards the 4, who is Dario guarding? That's going to be the big question, Ron. I don't know if those two are going to be able to play together because Dario is such a liability on defense. He's really stiff in the hips. He's good on weak side sometimes when he's down on the post, but that's about it. I'm a little worried about that. That's why it might be better suited for Dario maybe to come off the bench. But for now, he's our starting 4 in my eyes. And then you have Okafor come off the bench. But this is where Brett Brown's job is going to come in to see if he's able to coach a team. He's going to have to mix and match and see what the best starting 5 is going to be. What are you going to do with Covington? Is Covington going to play the 3? I think our starting 5 is going to be Fultz, TLC, Covington, Dario, and then Embiid. I'm sorry, Simmons. Simmons instead of Dario. Then Ben can't guard the 4. We'll have to stick to 3. I don't know, Ron. It's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do with him. What are your thoughts on the Latvian 7-3? I don't know much about him, Randy. I like his skill set. He's got the skill set of Porzingis, just not the skill level. If he can turn into an eighth of what Porzingis in, it's a steal. When was the last time you personally were this excited for a Sixers season? I'd probably have to say 2001. When AI had the MVP season. That's how excited I am for this year. It's been a very, very, very long time since I've been this excited about a Sixers season. And those teams weren't even great. You had AI and then just a bunch of role players. This you actually have transcendent talent on the team. But getting back to Simmons being on the guarding the 4, I think he's primarily going to guard the 4s when we go back on defense when he's playing the point. He's got the lateral quickness to guard 1s and 2s. It's just all going to be a learning process. And it's going to be up to Brett Brown to position him where he feel like he fits best. He's such an athlete, though. I don't know if you guys saw that dunk on Twitter, what he did, where he threw it 10 feet off the wall and slammed it with his opposite hand. That was great. It just gets you that more excited for the season to finally get this guy, get out on the court. Who do you guys think is going to win Rookie of the Year? Because it seems like everybody's leaning toward Lonzo Ball. And we've got 2 stud players that could potentially win it this year, just like this year. Next year. For Ben and Fultz. But this year we had Embiid and, Embiid and Sarge. Yeah, I think Simmons is going to beat out Ball. On defense, Fultz on 1, Covington on 2. Sorry, Brady, your message disappeared. They don't stay up for that long. Oh, wow, I turned this into a 33-minute video. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Any last questions before I get out? I could sit here and talk Sixers for the next 2 hours. Time flies when you're talking basketball. I love it. Has the schedule been released yet? When do Fultz and Ball meet? I don't think they have. I haven't seen it. I'll be marking that on my calendar. I can't wait. Cov is guarding the best opposing star, Randy. Yeah, he is. He's our best lockdown defender right at the moment. And he's really worked hard. That's why I'm glad we picked up his player option. But I think we should give him a contract, extend him 3 years. He deserves to be on this team. He's worked for it. He's a streaky shooter, but I love his defense. He gets into the passing lanes. He's a really good rebounder, too. So he could even play the 4 if we do a little small ball, because he's 6'10". We have so much size on this team. It's incredible. A point guard 6'5" with a 6'10" wingspan. That's why I think with a little bit of coaching for Fultz, the defense is nothing to worry about. Not like Lonzo Ball. I think Lonzo is really going to get picked apart in his first couple games. His dad can come out and say they're taking him to the playoffs, but he's going to get exposed. Opener definitely on ESPN regardless. It should be. That place is going to be... The Wells Fargo is going to be insane. Doesn't really matter on defense if Embiid is on the floor. True, but you'd like your guards to kind of shut down so you don't always have to rely on Holmes and Embiid. And don't forget, we still have Okafor. So if he's getting minutes, you want your guards to at least step in front of the ball, of the ball handler, and you don't want them to penetrate. And we saw what happened with that last year. They got eaten up, and it was easy buckets. Don't you think it's better to keep Okafor till the trade deadline? Yeah, you want to get the best available option there for Okafor, but we've been talking about trading Okafor for the past, 2 years? And we really haven't had any nibbles. It gets to the point, does anybody want this guy? He's a relic. He has no effort. He plays no defense. It's just, let's wait. I don't want to just trade him to get rid of him. I'd like to get something that helps our team moving forward. But if we get nothing, you just don't want to rush and get rid of him. But I'd like to get something for him before he just walks out of here. I was hoping he was going to go on draft night, maybe to Chicago, and I heard Chris Dunn rumors, but I wouldn't mind taking a Chris Dunn. If only we took Porzingis over Okafor. I know, but who knew then? You don't know. How much money will it take to sign Redick? I think it's going to take a lot. I think he's going to ask for at least $18 million a year. If Iguodala's supposedly getting $20 million a year, I can see J.J. Redick, who is a prized possession in this NBA, because he's a knockdown shooter, at least get 18 to, let's say, 22 a year. I'm not paying that for J.J. Redick if that's the case. I'd pass and make a trade for Green. And I think that's our best option, guys, for getting Okafor. Getting something out of Okafor might be trading for Danny Green. I mean, that's sad to say. Because, Danny Green's a little bit older. He's a nice player. He's an okay player, plus he's cheap. He only, get $10 million a year. But that might be our best option at this point for Okafor. And to get back to your question about Fultz not being a winner, winning 9 games and not making the tournament, let's just say, remember Okafor, he led his team to a national championship, and what has he done? So that debate goes both ways. And you could say the same thing for Simmons. Watch us get stuck with J.R. Smith. Oh, God, I hope not. Randy, I really hope we don't get stuck with him. That dude is the most streakiest shooter I've ever seen. He jacks up crap shots. I don't want J.R. Smith. I'm staying way clear of him. He's going to follow LeBron anywhere he goes anyway, just so he can collect championships. So let him do that. That's garbage. Fultz is a right fit for sure. Yeah, I agree. He made the most sense out of this draft. So when we were sitting there thinking who we were going to take at 3, it was really a really concerning question. Are we going to reach for a player? Are we going to just take a player just to stay at 3 like a Josh Jackson? But we made a trade. Go figure. And one guy on here tried telling me and Adrian that trades don't happen in the NBA draft. Well, look at that. How many trades happened? Brighter future, Sixers or Eagles? I'd have to say the Sixers, just because they're a little further along. But I like what the Eagles have done. You've got your quarterback of the future in Wentz. You just got to. They surrounded them with some decent receivers this year, but they're still a little bit away. Their defense isn't that good. Their secondary, especially. Are you surprised the Celtics wanted Tatum over everyone else? I think they really wanted Josh Jackson, but he canceled a workout on them. So Danny Ainge is a guy that's real sensitive. I think gets butt hurt real easy. So when he flew all the way out to Sacramento and Josh Jackson just didn't show up for the meeting and just canceled it, I think he got real mad at that. And you don't want to take a guy when he doesn't work out for you. How much do you think you're going to re-sign Embiid for? We might be looking at $150 million. I don't know, but that's for another show. That's for tomorrow. The Sixers' future is better now. Howie Roseman could screw it up. I don't know. I don't think you should hate on Howie too much. He did acquire Carson Wentz. I think that was a good move. Is Howie Roseman like the Colangelo in that situation? You're kind of scared what he's going to do next? And B looks like a man amongst boys. Yeah, he does, Hunter. Yes, he does. And that little sample size we got of him last year, it was such a tease because we were in every game till the end last year. And then when he went out, we saw the downfall. I don't know if Howie got Alshon here, Randy. I think having Grow here really helped with that situation, the wide receivers coach that he played for in Chicago. Any last question, guys? I'm going to get out of here. This is Kyle Gaffner with the Bitter Birds. I think the Sixers deserve an A for what they did. Free agency's next, and Summer League's coming up in 2 weeks, guys. All right. If you have any more questions, just leave them in the comments section. This is Kyle Gaffner. Go Sixers! There they are right there. Tattooed for life, y'all. Peace.